Alright, in this lesson we're going to take a quick review of ionic and covalent bonds. Very quickly, remember, an ionic bond is a bond in which atoms will give or take away electrons from another atom. Ionic bonds only happen between metals and nonmetals. In a covalent bond, atoms will share their electrons. Covalent bonds happen between nonmetals and nonmetals. Let's start with ionic bonds. I'm going to use the example with nitrogen and lithium. Before we start the actual bonding process, let's get some background information. It'll make the process a little easier. Nitrogen's symbol is N, while lithium is Li. The total number of electrons for nitrogen is 7. Lithium has 3. The number of valence electrons, which are the electrons in the outer shell, is 5 for nitrogen, 1 for lithium. Whenever the electrons bond, they're either going to gain or lose electrons. Nitrogen is going to try to gain 3 electrons. Remember, it's trying to get to 8. Lithium is going to go ahead and lose its 1 electron. That way it can drop down to 2 in the outer shell and be like helium. The oxidation number is a little tricky for some students. Remember, if you're gaining electrons, you're adding more negative charge. So, since you're gaining, you're going to become more negative, and more negative by 3. If you're losing electrons, you now have more protons than electrons, and you will become positively charged. In this case, positive 1. For the actual bonding process with an ionic bond, you need to use the symbols, the valence electrons, and then from there, we can give or take electrons from one to the other. So, using the symbol, nitrogen is N, lithium is Li. We're going to use N. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electrons in the valence shell. Going to go ahead and get a lithium, which has 1. We know that that 1 can go right here to nitrogen. Now our problem is, well, what about right here and here? Because nitrogen only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It still needs 2 more electrons. Well, all we do is add another lithium, Li, and it's going to give that electron there. Add another lithium over here, Li, can give this electron here. We now have nitrogen with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons. Lithium has dropped the one that it needs to drop. Both are happy. And you have now created Li3N. It's Li3 because you have 1, 2, 3 lithiums and 1 nitrogen. This is called the chemical formula. And notice that I wrote my metal before I wrote the nonmetal. In covalent bonds, we're going to do the exact same thing. Starting with the symbols, hydrogen H, oxygen O. Number of electrons for hydrogen is 1. Number for oxygen is 8. Number of valence electrons, hydrogen 1, oxygen 6. Whenever we gain or lose, hydrogen prefers to gain 1. It needs to get up to 2. And oxygen needs to gain 2 so that it can get up to 8. So our oxidation number for both of them, since they're both going to gain electrons, they'll have more electrons, more negatively charged, -1 and -2. The only difference that we're doing here is because these are covalent bonds, nonmetal and nonmetal, they're going to share their electrons. They actually will not give to each other. The process is pretty similar. We're going to use H and O. So I'm going to start with H, which has 1, and oxygen, which has 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this case, we can share right here. And whenever we share right there, hydrogen is happy with 2, oxygen has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we need one more for oxygen to share with. So we can add another hydrogen over here, and we can share. This hydrogen becomes happy, 1, 2. Oxygen now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oxygen is happy. We have 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen, or H2O, which we know as water. Another example we can do using H and O, besides having water, is use 2 H's and 2 O's. So if we use 2 O's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if we use 2 hydrogens, 1, we now have 2 hydrogens and 2 oxygens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Share here, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. Everybody's happy. We have 2 H's and 2 O's. This will be written as H2O2 hydrogen peroxide. That is a quick review of ionic and covalent bonds.
Yeah, 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 yeah!